You won't believe what just went down in this courtroom. A judge infamous for ruling with an iron fist decided to flex his authority by tearing into a seasoned attorney right in front of everyone. But in a twist absolutely no one saw coming, that same attorney flipped the script so fast, the judge didn't even know what hit him. And by the time it was over, he was the one in cuffs. What happened in those tense minutes will leave you speechless. But before we dive into this insane story, drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you love gripping, real-feeling stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we've got another one that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Now, let's get into it. Jasmine Crockett walked into that courtroom with the kind of sharp focus that could slice through steel. She'd spent years honing her craft, first as a public defender, battling for justice in a system built to work against her clients, then as a prosecutor who never backed down from a fight. Now, she was here on a case that could rock the entire city, a construction tycoon accused of rigging bids to siphon off millions from public projects. Her evidence was airtight. Her witnesses were locked in. She was ready to make it stick. But the second she stepped inside, she felt it. Something was off. Judge Victor Langston sat at the bench, his presence imposing, his reputation even darker. Known for steamrolling any attorney who dared challenge his authority, he had built a career on intimidation, and whispers of shady backroom deals followed him like a storm cloud. But today, Jasmine wasn't just another attorney. She was the one holding the match. The room buzzed as she placed her files down. The gallery was packed, reporters, city officials, and more than a few nervous suits from the defense. Langston didn't even glance up from his notes, letting the seconds drag in thick, suffocating silence. Then, finally, he spoke, his voice low, laced with mockery. "Miss Crockett, I hope you've got more than just a stack of papers and a prayer, because I'm not in the mood for amateur hour." The defense table chuckled. But Jasmine? She didn't flinch. "Your Honor, I'm here to present evidence of fraud that's cost this city millions. I'd say that's worth your time." Langston leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Fraud, huh? Bold claim for someone who looks like they're still figuring out which end of the gavel to hold." The jab landed, but Jasmine held her ground, her voice unwavering. "The evidence will speak louder than I ever could, Your Honor." And with that, she started laying it all out. Bank records showing inflated invoices, emails between the defendant and city insiders, a trail of cash that just didn't add up. But Langston wasn't having it. He cut her off mid-sentence, waving a dismissive hand. "Miss Crockett, I've read better fiction in my clerk's dime store novels. You think this is enough to drag a man's name through the mud?" The gallery stirred, sensing the tension. But Jasmine didn't back down. "It's not about names, Your Honor. It's about facts. Like the fact that these payments line up with project approvals that you personally signed off on." The room went dead silent. Langston's smirk disappeared, replaced by a hard, calculating stare. "Careful, Miss Crockett. You're treading on thin ice, throwing accusations at this court." She met his gaze without blinking. "I'm not accusing. I'm asking. Why is your name on these documents?" The gavel came down hard, cracking through the tension. "Enough. I won't allow you to turn my courtroom into a circus. Your little theory is dead on arrival." But Jasmine wasn't finished. She pulled a deposition transcript from her file and slid it across the table. "Then maybe you can explain this. A whistleblower from the defendant's company says you met with him personally to greenlight the overages." Sworn testimony. Under oath. Langston's face tightened, but he recovered quickly. "Hearsay. Inadmissible." "Next." Jasmine didn't even blink. "Not hearsay when there's a recording to back it up." The gallery gasped. Jasmine reached into her briefcase and pulled out a small device. "Your Honor, I'd like to play something for the court." Langston's eyes flashed. "You're out of line, Crockett." But she pressed play. And then his voice filled the room. "Make it quick. I want this buried before she gets wind of it." The courtroom exploded. Murmurs, gasps, reporters scribbling. The defense team shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Jasmine stood there, calm, watching as Langston unraveled. "Care to explain that, Your Honor?" she asked, her voice razor-sharp. Langston slammed the gavel again. "This is a stunt, Miss Crockett, and I won't tolerate it. That recording is a fake, and you're in contempt for even bringing it here." Jasmine held her ground. "It's no fake. It's authenticated, time-stamped, and legally obtained with a warrant. The real question is, who are you telling to bury this case?" Langston's grip on control was slipping. His eyes darted to the bailiff. "You think you can waltz in here and smear me with some doctored audio? I've run this courtroom for 20 years. Longer than you've been playing lawyer." His voice was loud, but there was a crack in it now. Jasmine stepped forward, her tone quiet, deliberate. 20 years is a long time to keep things hidden, Your Honor. Like why a judge would care so much about a construction deal, unless he had something to lose. Silence. She slid another document across the bench, a bank statement, a hefty deposit into an offshore account, dated the day after the project was approved. "This looks personal to me." The courtroom erupted. But Langston still wasn't ready to go down without a fight. "You're digging your own grave, Crockett." His voice dropped to a menacing whisper. "That document is inadmissible, and I'll see to it that you're thrown out along with it." He motioned to the bailiff. "Escort her out. This hearing is over." But Jasmine simply raised a hand, stopping the officer mid-step. "Not so fast. That account traces back to a shell company tied to your brother-in-law. And I've got the paper trail right here." She tapped her briefcase. More records, more emails, an entire web of transactions that all pointed in one direction. Langston's jaw clenched. His bluff was called. "You're grasping at straws," he spat. "None of this holds up." Jasmine turned to the clerk. "Enter these into evidence, please. They're already filed with the state attorney's office." Then, she faced Langston once more. "You can toss me out, but this doesn't disappear. The press is here. The jury's here. And they've all seen it. You're not just dismissing evidence, you're covering your tracks." The tension in the room was suffocating. Langston glared, his hands shaking as he gripped the gavel. "You've got no proof I knew about any of this," he muttered, quieter now, testing her. Jasmine tilted her head slightly. "Then let's talk about the phone call you made last week. The one where you told the defendant to clean it up before I got too close." Langston froze. The doors creaked open. 2 men in suits entered, badges gleaming. Jasmine's voice was steady, cold. "Judge Victor Langston, you're under investigation for obstruction and bribery. I'd suggest you step down now." Langston's world crashed around him. And Jasmine? She was just getting started.